All right, I have to start over now because I touched something and it went. Well, anyway, so where is it going? I was on a flow too. So I was talking about. By the way, I'm outside of a Dunkin' Donuts. Free. I'm picked to be out here. Love it. But anyway, so what I was talking about before I rudely interrupted myself by hitting something on this phone that stopped the recording. But yeah, so I think that freedom is essential for everyone. I think that we were put on this earth plane to be free beings. We wouldn't be put here with 5 senses and emotions to live life the way that we see fit based on what we want to do. Things that fulfill us, things that make us happy, things that we enjoy doing. You wouldn't have 5 senses. You have 5 senses to determine your likes and dislikes. I love that music. I don't like that sound music. I love that. She's pretty. He's pretty. Whatever your preference is. You have eyes, ears, nose, mouth, senses to determine what you like and dislike. Those are made from you to enjoy your life for you to have. And you have emotions to be able to experience that life with, your reality with. That's why you have emotions, to live life with emotion, to be able to experience your reality with. You as an individual who is granted and created to live life the way you see fit based on what makes you happy via your 5 senses and emotions. So, why am I saying this? Because, let's be honest, guys. Well, I'm being honest. The future world reality that's on the World Economic Forum website, their world agenda for the future, the same people that control the world agenda today, dictate policy as of right now, those people are members of the World Economic Forum. That World Economic Forum is on every board ever in the world about dictating policy. They also are in charge of the pandemic. Basically, they've been on every board committee and have control over and say in what goes on with the pandemic. Response, vaccine, laws dictating what we can and cannot do, the lockdowns, everything. From day one, I can prove it. I mean, I've connected all the dots. Again, the first dot I always start with is Event 201. What is Event 201? It was the World Economic Forum, John Hopkins, and the Bill Gates Foundation meeting 3 months before the first case of the coronavirus ever even happened in China. 3 months prior to that, with a pandemic preparedness meeting, getting the world prepared for a pandemic that hadn't started yet, based on the premise of the SARS virus mutating to where it was transmissible to humans. Now what happened 3 months later? That same exact fucking scenario. So the World Economic Forum has been on the board for the pandemic ever since before the pandemic. That's how soon they've been on it. So yeah, these are the elite establishment, the pharmaceutical companies that make the vaccines, the governments, everyone. They answer, do you think that the people in charge today, you think the president actually doesn't, the president even gets orders from them. They have members of the president's cabinet is on the World Economic Forum. And everywhere in the world, the World Economic Forum is. They are the elite establishment. They are the ones that have a world agenda mapped out on their own website to tell you what the world's going to look like according to what they want it to be. And what does that state? Well, if you go to the Code of Conduct Conflict of Interest page, first off, it states that no one's allowed to have personal interests. That's paragraph 1. In fact, all you really need to read is paragraph 1 on the Code of Conduct Conflict of Interest page to go, what the fuck? Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to read. That should be enough for you to go, what the heck? I mean, but if you really want to dig deep into it, go into the fourth industrial revolution that they have planned. That doesn't look like a pretty revolution at all. Not when your job assignment is picked out for you. So so first off, they have a world agenda that's on their website, not mine, by the way. So if everyone's mad at me, like, what is he doing? I'm just stating facts that are on their factual website that is a real thing that dictates the world agenda, according to them, not me. I'm just stating what they're stating. So that way everyone has an awareness of what's going on and what we're up against, so that way you can decide. You can't know your likes without your knowing what you don't like. So my feeling is, if I can make aware of people to what's going on their website, so you can see for yourself and you're made aware of what they have planned for you, then you can dictate whether that's something you want or not. And I don't see how anyone that lives a life with personal interest would be like, I don't want my personal interest. I don't see how anyone could ever possibly do that, but that's what individual rights and freedoms are taken away. In fact, their motto for the Great Reset is you will own nothing and be happy. Really? What does that mean? That means they own everything and they want you to be happy with it. That's what that means, basically. So you own nothing, be happy. You're not allowed to have personal interests. Loyalty to them becomes paramount over your own family. In fact, if your family member has personal interests, real or perceived, it's your duty on this is their page talking, to report them to the legal department. Your own family members. Loyalty to them, they stated themselves, comes above your own family. That's what they want. Now, who are these people again? Everyone that's in charge of the world, the elite establishment, the 1% or less that actually runs the world. You know, they don't want you to live a life that you want to live based on what makes you happy. And you know what I know to be fact? That when you're doing things that make you happy, fulfilled, and joyous, laughing, fun, love, you're in line with your higher power, your higher self. That's when you're lit up. That's when good things happen to you. When you're doing things that feed your soul. That's when you're in alignment. That's when you're in alignment with who you are and your higher self and your higher power. So if you have an elite establishment that wants you to give your life force energy away to them by them not allowing you to be yourself and have personal interests and demands loyalty to them over your own family, how are you supposed to be lit up? You're not. You know what that does to your inner self, your inner being? When you're not allowed to express yourself, speak your truth, be who you are, based on what you want to be, based on what is best for you as an individual. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different perspective based on their own personal individual experiences that led them to the person they are today, with their own unique aspect to who they are, which is a beautiful thing. We're all diverse. We should embrace our diversity. We should embrace our diversity instead of making it divide us. And this goes above Republican, Democrat. I hate that. I hate when people try to divide things through political party affiliation. Define yourself based on what you believe. Yes, it's okay for you to vote Democrat and be against the vaccine. It's okay for you to be Republican against the war or whatever. You know, whatever issue is out there, you know, define yourself based on what you believe, not what they tell you to believe based on what party you voted for. You know? Don't let your political affiliation define you as a person, period. Define yourself as a person based on what you feel is right for you. Now, as I was stating before, masks don't work. Masks don't work. You know how, I don't, not to say if they're even worn properly they work, but just the way 100% of the people, pretty much everyone wears them, makes them completely ineffective, if they ever work to begin with. And this is how we all wear them. All right, so you go about your day. You open doors, you close doors. You adjust your mask. Take your mask off, you put it back on. You touch objects, you exchange money. You go to the store, you pump gas. In between all that, what are you doing? Adjusting your mask, taking your mask off, putting it back on, touching more objects, opening more doors, closing more doors, adjusting your mask, taking your mask off, putting it on. Completely ineffective, 100% ineffective. And then I always used to say you'd have to be like a doctor in an emergency room or a nurse where you exchange your gloves every time you touch something. But then again, I realized that wouldn't work because you're still touching your mask to put another one on, so that doesn't work either. So 100 masks wouldn't help in that case regardless. So that's 100% ineffective. You know what breath does? That's what gives you the breath of life. It's where the spirit comes in, by the way. It's through your breath. That's how the spirit comes in you, through your breath. And the spirit is not something that's just for the elite establishment. It's for everyone to have. Everyone has access to the spirit. And how do you get access? Doing things that fulfill you. Staying in alignment with who you are. Being happy. Having fun. These are all things that keep you connected to the spirit. That's a fact. So if we live in a world where people don't have access to the spirit by being them enslaved to somebody other person's idea of what they should be and dictated their personal interests based on what they think that you should be doing, instead of you determining that by yourself as an individual on what makes you happy, then that's taking away your life force energy and giving it to somebody else that is defining you based on what they feel you should be doing. Period. Now, how do they plan on doing this? Through the vaccine. How do I know this? Because I search. I mean, it's such an easy amount of research I've done. It doesn't even need a lot. And I always quote sources that people get their information from. Like, you know what I did? Guidelines for the vaccine makers. Requirements for the vaccine makers to have the vaccine. What do they need to have in the vaccine to make the vaccine? You know what it led me to? The CDC website and 20 different diagrams on the surveillance and monitoring system, which is the only requirement for the vaccine makers to have to make the vaccine. In other words, no requirement for it to protect you against anything. Just to infect you with a surveillance and monitoring system. With 10 plus, I say 10 plus, it's more like 18, with more systems to come, and it says that right on the diagram. More systems to be added. Sentient surveillance, active surveillance, 10 plus public and private agencies. Full access, full on blown access to you. Data with more systems, and even says right there on the diagram, with more systems to be added. Now, why is this important? Because, well, first off, no one talks about it except me. I'm the only one that talks about this, by the way. Only one. Only person. I don't watch all kinds of right wing, left wing. I'm the only one that speaks about the surveillance monitoring system. And it's the most crucial piece of information on the entire pandemic. Why is it? Because we don't want to become China. We don't want to become China. You know what China does? They have a social credit system linked to the damn surveillance, their own active surveillance system from both public and private agencies that dictate a social score determined by your behaviors. Not that you're doing anything against the law, by the way. Just that whatever the narrative is for the country. Let's say the country wants you to stop cursing, just as an example. They don't want you to curse anymore. So from now on, anyone that's cursing, they're going to deduct your score. They're going to lower your score to prevent you from having access to things. Your score is now low because of your profanity. I'm just using this as an example, but it's whatever they want the narrative to be. Whatever they want the society to move in, the direction they want you to go, that's what the score will be based off. And anyone that has a lower score, private companies will be just like China, and anyone can read any articles on this, by the way. There's only 100 articles on this social credit system being implemented in the US. Literally, you can literally Google social credit system in America, and you'll find 100 different articles, both right-wing and left-wing, telling you about this system that they're trying to fully implement, which is public and private agencies determining a score that limits you from goods and services to be able to access things. Does that sound like America to you? Does it sound like anything freedom-wise related when your behaviors are now dictated by a score that eliminates you access to freedom based on your score, which is determined not on your bills being paid like a credit score, but your behaviors. What behaviors? Whatever they don't want you to do. Oh, he's speaking out against our system. Let's lower his score. And that's what they would do. My score is probably 0. But that's it. Fuck it. You know what? You thinking about I haven't stopped talking. So let's not get off track, Ted. For once, my brain runs 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I try to stay on focus. Sometimes I lose it. But so the surveillance system is in the vaccine. The vaccine has public and private agencies with full access to your data and active surveillance, with more systems to come. On the own website, on the diagram that I found, the diagrams I have aren't from some fringe website, by the way. They're on the CDC website. So you have that. You have the system, full-blown system with diagrams, easy to read, a 4th grader could read it. In fact, it's the most believable and understandable thing on the entire website, is these damn diagrams. There's no explanation better for the diagram than the diagram itself. Seriously. So that's in the vaccine for 100% facts. 100% facts. And they want to implement a full-blown social credit system like China, which is public and private agencies having full access to your data, denying you freedoms, resources, goods, services, access to establishments, jobs, based on a score that they dictate from your behaviors. That's why I'm so up in arms about this, because I think that, and I talked about this last video I did. We live in a world where you literally, as of this moment in this world, you get to dictate your future based on any decision you have at any given moment of the day. Any given moment, you can literally stop what you're doing, make a decision to change your life to the whatever future end result you're trying to get to, and you can stop what you're doing. You can literally stop what you're doing and change your timeline. Physically, just change your timeline by a decision to at any moment of any given day, to change what you want to do with your life. That's freedom. That's an important thing that we should all try to preserve. If you want to quit your job, quit your job. Start a new one. Learn something new. Learn an instrument. Go back to school. Don't go to school. Dump your boyfriend. Dump your girlfriend. Get a new one. You have the freedom to do that. That's your life. You get to determine your timeline based on what you want to do in any given moment of any day. Everyone has desires, goals, ambitions. Everyone wants to be happy, right? Of course. No one wants to not be happy. But what's the definition of your happiness? Whatever that is to you. Everyone's version of happiness is different. Everyone gets fulfilled in different ways. Everyone wants different things for their life. That's the beauty of this world. We're all different. It should be embraced, not cause us to be divided over diversity. We should embrace it. Yeah, we should embrace it. But again, this goes beyond Democrat, Republican, party lines. Individual rights and freedoms for everyone to be able to choose the life they want to live based on what makes them happy is something that we should all try to protect for everyone to have. Not just a few, not just the elite 1%, for everyone. Not just for any. What gave them the right that they're allowed to run apeshit crazy up there and dictate everyone else's moves? Who said that was, who the hell do they think they are? What, because you got money? You think that makes you fucking important? Obviously in this world, but still, at the end of the day, the things that really matter, what the true things that matter are? Something that you can't even buy. Love, happiness, friendship, relationships. I know this to be fact, and I believe everything I went through was a test. It was a test, and it built me, and it refined me, and it made me more clear on what my purpose is. And that's, those are the things that you can't put a price tag on. You will pay every dollar in the world to get those back if you could. If they were taken away, I promise you, there would not be enough money in this world that you put together to try to get them back. And you tried everything you could to get those things back. You would literally, those things are not something that, the reason they're priceless, infinite energies that go beyond a dollar figure. You can't equate them to any kind of monetary value. They go beyond that. It's just essential. This is just the life. Life itself, it revolves around these things. Like I said, it's what keeps you aligned with your higher self, higher powers. When you're in happiness, loved, fulfilled, doing something that you're serving a purpose, feeling you lit up. That's when you're in alignment. That's when you have your life force energy. That's when you're most capable of doing best things in your life. When you're lit up, happy, fulfilled, love, joy, happiness, laughter. So if the direction of the world today, by the people that are in charge today, have a world agenda that wants to take away your freedom to have personal interests and individual rights, then what are they taking away from you? Your right to be happy. Doing things that make you happy. Living a life that makes you fulfilled based on what you want your life to be. We live in a world where a social credit system is going to determine, and well, first off, that's like, need I say more? You're not allowed to have personal interests. It's a threat to them. That's what they say. It might obscure your judgment, your professional judgment, and objectivity. That's their words, not mine. Shit. That's them saying it themselves, in their own words, on their own website. personal interests might obscure your professional judgment and objectivity. Now, if that's not a crazy world agenda to live in, like a crazy world where you can't even have your own personal interests, you should be able to have your own personal interests, don't you think? As an individual that was created with 5 senses to determine your likes and dislikes and emotions to live your life the way you want to live it. Would you be created with those things if you were to be enslaved to somebody else's version of what you should be and what interests they want you to have instead of what you want to have for yourself? So that's the message. It's the same one always, but I keep going. I put it in a video, I put it on a podcast, I put it in a post. I don't stop. And the reason I don't stop is because it's a crucial time. We all need to be vigilant. We need to be aware of what these systems are and what they're doing and what their agenda is. Not because I say it. Don't take anything I say. Don't just listen to me and research it yourself, please. Research everything yourself. Don't freaking ever just take my word for anything.